We're live. Here we
back
are.
again.
Back again, baby. Here we are, August 7th. A little trivia, Dave. Oh, and I'll say this. Duluth Conservative, where conservative news is happening. And we have conservatives in Duluth, Minnesota, believe it or not. We're two of them. We have plenty others. But we're going to come in here and give you some news stories you may not have heard about and give you a little conservative slant on them as well. How are you doing, Mr. Janzig?
I'm still surviving. Went to the gym last night, and now it's hard to lift my arms up. So, other than that, we'll just keep my arms down low today, and everything should be fine.
Somewhat like an ape. Just drag them down.
Drag them, yeah.
We can actually see the blue sky today, which is kind of nice. The fires from Canada have finally subsided a little bit, which is very nice. And our air quality is only in the 60s right now, 40s actually right now. So what you were saying, I went running yesterday and I had the equivalent of a half pack of cigarettes.
Correct. Yep. That's what the news was claiming.
I'm actually getting a headache today. I think it's because I'm detoxing.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's August, and you know who the month of August is named after?
No.
Augustus Caesar. So July is named after Julius Caesar, and August is named after Augustus Caesar, who was the first, his son, his adopted son, who was the first real Roman emperor.
Oh, okay.
I've been studying a lot of Rome stuff, so it's kind of cool. But that's your trivia for today. So we were going to jump right in and start talking about Duluth news, and we'd like to talk about some fun things first. And one of the first things we're going to talk about is the Bayfront Blues Festival is coming to Duluth this weekend, August 8th through the 10th. So that's tomorrow through Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, it's 3 days. So it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
If you haven't been down to that, that's a nice little blues festival to go to. I will be able to hear it from my house, which is kind of nice if the wind is just right.
Yeah.
And I may come down. It's supposed to be a really nice, hot August weekend. Like summer finally arrived in Duluth on August 7th. Yay.
Yeah, it depends on which forecast you listen to.
Yeah.
Some talking thunderstorms all weekend, so who knows?
It'll still be good.
If you can listen here through the mics, you can hear the foghorn going off on the canal.
So that's the good news. Now we're gonna go into a little more Hermantown news. So Hermantown did some road construction on one of the roads in Hermantown. I think it's called Hermantown Road, actually.
Correct. Yeah.
And Hermantown, for people who don't know, is one of the cities that butts up against Duluth. So near my house, one side of the road is Duluth, the other side is Hermantown. And Hermantown's always been getting like the businesses now because they're easier on taxes. They were promoting businesses to come to Hermantown, so they're getting pretty big.
Yeah.
So what they did though was they rebuilt this Hermantown Road, and now there's about 100 people that live along the road that are getting an assessment for $9,400 for that. And their reasoning is, well, your property values went up on your house, so you'll be able to pay for this. So this unrealized gain of your house value going up, they're taxing you on it. Plus, they're going to increase your taxes on your house because the value is going to go up. They're going to assess it for a higher value. That's just a win-win for those poor suckers that live on Hermantown Road. They get a nice road, but boy, they're paying for it.
And technically, they shouldn't be, because the reason they rebuilt that road was because that parallels Highway 2, which goes into Proctor, and that needed some major repair because that was in really bad shape. So they detoured down this road. So they had to repair this road so they could detour on it. So the people had no choice that were living on this road whether to rebuild it or not, because that was the detour road. So now that instead of being an abandoned road, basically it's 30,000 cars a day. So
right,
they should pay for more, since they had no say in it. So
yeah, I mean, the nice thing about Duluth is we don't do that. They used to do it here. They don't do that anymore. Yeah. And that's a gut punch. That's $9,400. Now, what were you saying? They can finance it over 15 years at a 5% interest.
Yeah, they said on the news 5%.
Hooray!
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Hermantown's got some of the highest property taxes in the area, even compared to Duluth. And now add another 10 grand to your property bill.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Good times.
So, yeah, and then I mean, if you're going to go into Hermantown, the first thing I think of is, gee, what road is it on? How good is the road? That's where I buy. That's what I base everything as far as buying a house on, is how good the road is.
My wife said something to me that has stuck with me for years, and it was that when we lived in a house, we had replaced all the windows, so they had brand new windows. And you're like, oh, we can make that a selling point. And she goes, house got to have windows, good or bad. That's not a selling point. You got to have windows. So you got to have roads. So good or bad, that house is going to sell the same way. Sure, it'll be more appealing to somebody, but it's not going to raise the price of the house.
No,
it will now
really
because they're going to ask for $9,400 extra. So yeah, it'll raise the price of the house. I mean, sure, you can pay for it. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, as you can tell, we're going to try to get through this in a fairly quick manner today, this show. So we're going to go through these things pretty quickly, about 2 minutes per item. I want to talk about the protesters in Duluth, Pete Staubert, not just specifically Pete Staubert. They were out of the Copper Top Church, and there was about 11 of them when I was up there. And they've got various, posters and everything that they're talking about. There's no real unified thing. It's what I liken it to is, we didn't vote for Donald Trump. We didn't vote for Pete Staubert, and we're angry that he got elected. So we're going to protest him. Now, if we can't win, we're going to protest. That's all it is. It's not people that voted for Trump and voted for Pete Staubert because they're doing the things everybody wants them to do. They are hitting it out of the park. I mean, we'll talk about some of the things that Trump is doing, but every day has been Christmas Day to me since he's been in office. So I don't know if you've seen these at Stauber's office anymore. Do you see that up there on Highway 52?
I don't go past there too often, but every single weekend, I hear there's a protest up there of some sort. But every time I go by, I have no idea what they're protesting because everyone has a different sign.
Yeah,
so,
they don't have a message.
Yeah,
and they're now flying the American flag. Now I remember a time. I'm old enough to remember 4 years ago when having an American flag was like offensive to these people. Like that was spouting out racism for some reason. Now they've kind of got the message that flying the Mexican flag wasn't such a good idea when they were, trying to support the illegal nationals that are in our country. So they've actually changed that. Now they're flying the American flag as if they're, patriots. So it's funny to see that.
Yeah, it's better than what they were doing. So
yeah,
the Democratic Party is in such chaos right now that it's good to see a flag there because now there's at least one unity.
Right. Well, they could fly the Minnesota flag, which looks like a giant anus, if you ask me. Go watch Community and look at their flag, and then look at the Minnesota new flag, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And
if you threw that flag up there, no one would know it's Minnesota because Minnesota's name is never on that flag. So
no, it looks like a boat flag to me. Like if you go down to the docks out here, they got a bunch of sailboats stocked up. It just looks like another, generic flag.
Yeah, another nautical flag. Yeah.
Oh, it also looks like the Somali flag.
Okay, we won't swim off the beach. Okay,
yeah, right.
What that means? I don't know.
Wait 30 minutes before you jump in.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the Duluth news tied up. Nice little bow. We're only not even 10 minutes in, Dave.
That's amazing. We're already up switching banners.
See. All right, let's see. Minnesota legislature. So I threw this in here, and this was when it was happening last week. And so I was going to kind of follow up on this. But down in Texas, the Democrats have fled the state, so they won't have a quorum, so they don't have to vote on redistricting. So much like the Minnesota Democrats, who didn't show up for work the first few weeks here in this session, the Texas Democrats have just fled the state. Well, they actually have a governor down in Texas, and he said that And I think he's done this now. He's sicked the Texas Rangers after him. I think the FBI now said today they're going to get involved and try to get these Democrats back. And the governor has filed a motion to vacate their office, meaning that they are no longer going to be representatives at all. And there's going to be a special election to replace them.
Yeah.
It is very, very nice to see a governor who actually knows what he's doing, as opposed to Timmy Walz, who God knows what he was due. You know, if it was Republicans fleeing the state, he might do the same thing. But Democrats, he just put his head in the sand, went to other cities, went to other states, and campaigned for his presidency. That, well, that'd be great if he tried to do that.
Yeah.
Because as we've talked about, what's the best part about Tim Walz running for president? People actually know how bad he really is, because the Minnesota press was not covering him at all.
Yeah, we didn't learn about how bad he was until the national press got involved. So,
right.
Now I won't even say national. I'll say, Fox News, because the other major networks weren't going to cover it. So,
right. And yeah, I mean, Duluth News Tribune doesn't cover it. Minneapolis Red Star doesn't cover it. And
right.
We knew about it. We talked about it, but because we mine places other than the mainstream news media. And that doesn't mean I'm not watching Fox News. I'm looking at different websites and YouTube, just like normal people are doing. That's where we're finding a lot of this information. So Texas is doing a good job.
I looked up what, because Minnesota pulled the same garbage, because they didn't have a quorum because they didn't have enough people there. Mm-hmm. And that was because of that election that they threw out, because the guy didn't live in that district. So I looked up what a quorum in Texas was, and it's specifically defined as 2/3 of the elected members.
Right.
So they don't need to have everybody. They need 2/3 of them to show up.
I think they need 4 more of them to show up.
Yeah.
That's all they're waiting for.
So you get rid of all the Democrats, so they don't have their way, so they fly off like a child.
Right. So, yeah. When you lose your elections, take your medicine and show up and vote your conscience, and then use that as a campaign tool if you don't like what's happening.
Right. But you have to show up, not just run away like a child. So
exactly. Another story here is the Minnesota House members there's a bipartisan group proposing to fund a new recruitment of law enforcement. $50 million a year available for recruitment efforts for 5 years. The money would be distributed through a competitive grant-making process. Additionally, the bill would provide $250 million over 5 years to fund a nationwide campaign to encourage people to consider careers in law enforcement. They did well, and I'm not blaming the Republicans for this, but the Democrats, especially in the city of Minneapolis, especially the Minneapolis City Council and the mayor, did everything they could to break the police force in those cities. Yep. Tying their hands, doing these protests, putting their members in jail, not backing them. And now we get to spend money. I get to work days out of the week to fund something to fix the problem. So classic government, create the problem and then become the solution.
Yeah, exactly. The Minneapolis and St. Paul City Council, they signed on to an agreement with the feds that they were going to have a certain X number of policemen. It was like 816, low 800s. They're still in the low 500s. This is 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago that they should have been doing this, and they haven't done it yet, because they want to completely defund the police. They want to completely get rid of police, replace them all with social workers.
Right. And
so they're dragging their feet. So if they've signed this agreement saying they're gonna have more cops on the street, get up that number up to the low 800s, and they're not doing it, why aren't they in jail? I mean, I'd be in jail if I signed an agreement with the state,
or at least lose their jobs.
Right. But they're not. Nothing's going to happen to them. They're not doing what they said they were going to do, and nothing's going to happen to them. So,
and it just drives me nuts, though, that they created this atmosphere where who would want to be a police officer? I mean, you do one mistake, and nobody has your back. They'll go after you for political points and throw you in jail for nothing. And So they create this horrible atmosphere where guys, cops were retiring, no new recruits, and now it's throw money at the problem and try to get people to show up. And I enjoy, so on the one hand, yes, we do need a bigger police force. These guys who are working on the force, they're understaffed, so they're always out on, doing their job. They're working extra hours. Great. It's great if you want overtime, but that burns you out after a while, and they get stressed out, and then they make bad decisions. So you need this, like this pressure relief. So on the one hand, yes, absolutely, we need to do this. But why are you caused this problem? So you're costing me money to fix a problem that you created. It drives me insane.
Correct. Yep.
And as you stated, Walz, Ellison, Frey, and Bloody Mary Moriarty, who I love that name. They won't let this happen. So they'll stymie it. But we'll get back to Bloody Mary in just a little bit too.
Yeah.
In fact, all of these guys are on the bubble right now. Mary is a little more on the bubble because she decided she won't run, but we'll talk about that in a bit. All right, let's go on to, and I just kind of grouped all this stuff together because Tim Walz, violent left, crazy Democrat leadership. And, when I talk about Democrats here, I don't want people who are normal people that have voted for Democrats to think I'm taking a shot at them, because I'm not. Their leadership is crazy. Now, you're supporting it when you're voting for them, but you can make a change. You can decide that that's not a good idea and wake up a little bit to what they're doing. But You're not doing it. They're doing it. Just stop supporting those kind of people that are doing it. That's all I'm asking. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was Feeding Our Future, that $250 to $300 million fraud that was passed over the city, that was overseen by the Department of Education, that was ultimately up to Walz, who our mayoral candidate was speaking to and calling them great people, who Keith Ellison was involved with. They have now passed 50 convictions of people that were found guilty of it. So they are going after them. Good job. I mean, that's great. But that just means that 50 people or more were involved in this thing, skimming money off of us and making us, again, work extra hours, work extra years, and then taking that money and God knows where they sent it. And to non-extradition countries, I know that.
Yeah, because they just the one guy that just pled guilty to it, they gave him 28 years and made him pay back $47 million.
47 million. He was a big timer then.
Yeah, but most of it's gone because he sent out back to wherever he is. They said back abroad. So obviously, just like you said, a country that isn't cooperative with the U.S. Therefore, that money's going to be gone. He'll never pay it back.
No.
He got 28 years, so Walz is going to pardon him, or that was too much.
In Minnesota, I think that translates to 3.5 months.
Yes, yeah. I think
in a halfway house.
And pinky swear not to do it again.
Yeah, right. Or don't. We don't want to oppress you.
Yes, yeah.
So that's just great. Let's see. I'm going to say this kind of goes into the violent left thing, but state GOP says it faces growing pattern of harassment and intimidation at its Edina headquarters. I mean, they throw up these Nazi symbols. They don't understand what the word Nazism is or fascism is. But this isn't what you do, people. You don't intimidate people just because they're in politics. You don't go after them and try to, cancel them. It's not the way you do it. What you do is you vote them out, or you make a compelling case. And I would love to see this, a compelling case of why they're wrong. Haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, they quit. They need to stop talking about losing democracy. And if you don't like what their people are doing, you vote them out.
Right.
You get involved in the political system and you vote them out. And obviously, these morons didn't learn anything from the Hortman killings. We just had a politician killed, another one shot, and basically they're harassing more GOP people. So nothing's really changed in their rhetoric.
The problem is, the people watching us and the people that we know, they aren't the ones doing this. These are people are off. But if you know somebody like this, try to calm them down and maybe have a conversation with somebody who is in office or running for office, but have a conversation with a thought of having a conversation, not yelling at somebody or talking to somebody. Maybe you'll learn something about it.
Right.
I find that, I mean, we just went to our reunion and there was a guy that was there and he's a staunch Democrat. I mean, he really is. But we can talk about things and we agree on lots of stuff. And that's the same with other people that are Democrats. And if if it's just the 20% that you don't agree on, that's not enough to go and try to hurt somebody or intimidate them by stomping them down. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't get us anywhere.
Right.
And everybody grab hands and sing now. All right, let's see. One more thing about Tim Walz. The Biden regime covered up counterintelligence concerns over Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's ties to communist China. James Comer revealed last October that a whistleblower within Homeland Security warned his committee that Walz was a target of the Communist China Party as someone they could get to D.C. And even Walz comes back and says, I'll never be treated that well again. They were giving me so many gifts, I couldn't put them back on the plane. What do you think they're doing, Tim?
Right.
It's like that's, what is it, Eric Stoltz, that the guy that was sleeping with the Chinese spy? Why do you think she's interested in you? Look at you. Look at you.
Right.
You're horrible. I mean, what do they see in you, Tim? They don't see a good person. They see somebody they can manipulate and use.
Yeah, and that's why he went over there 30 times Chinese probably paid for it too because they knew, you're a sucker.
It's the same as getting like a presidential suite in Las Vegas at one of the casinos. They're not doing it because they love you. They're doing it because you're paying all the money down in the casino and you're paying for that place. Yeah. Of course they want to keep you there. Okay.
Hey. Since we're on Biden or Walz, I have two. Yesterday was an anniversary of two historic events, and I want you to see and tell me which one is worse or which one is more destructive. Yesterday was the announcement of Kamala Harris announcing that Walz was the vice president. That was yesterday, so a year ago. So that was 1 year ago. So compare this to see how many other lives are getting destroyed. Yesterday was the first bomb in Hiroshima to end World War II. So I thought both of those were just so coincidental that they're both on this exact same day, and they both had destructive intentions.
Well, I would say, let me say, one was destructive and one had the potential to be very destructive.
Okay, yep.
Luckily, we didn't get the second one because that would have been, I think, ultimately worse.
Well, I mean, he's still trying to do the same thing in Minnesota as, he tried to burn it down just as many houses as, Hiroshima bomb. So he tried. We gave him 5 days and had to put an end to it. But yeah.
You want to see something really depressing? Look at a picture of Hiroshima after it was bombed. That time, which is horrible. It was leveled. And look at a picture of Detroit the same year. And now look at them today.
Right. Yeah.
That is really sad to look at that. Because Detroit was beautiful back then. Just beautiful. And now I haven't seen pictures of it recently, but the last pictures I saw, you could buy basically a city block for like $5,000 at one point.
Well, yeah, and then it's still a Democrat city, even though back when it was a great place to be, that was when there was car manufacturing there. Yeah. And now that's what Trump is trying to do, is bring car manufacturing back to the U.S., back into that area, and they're still fighting him. Michigan is still fighting Trump over that, so it makes no sense. If you want your city to be good again, you've got the infrastructure set up to build cars, play ball with Trump, and your city will come back. But
I don't think Detroit has a shot. I think it's all going to be in Tennessee and the southern states at this point. But they should try.
They should try.
Yeah. I would love it if they had And there is a lot of manufacturing coming back to the States. And I think Apple just announced that for the first time ever, they're going to be producing screens and another component of their phones here in America.
Oh, yep.
This is just, like I've said, it's Christmas every day. The amount of potential stuff that's been happening, and if it falls apart, that's bad. But if it all comes together, man, it's going to be really good here for many years because of this. And that's the so if Walz and Harris would have won,
never would have happened.
I don't even know what we'd be doing right now. All right, well,
we would all get free Chinese language instruction. So
I think we'd get a free Chinese bullet.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to show this. This is Ilhan Omar's Islamic Center. I think she has something to do with this. I don't quote me on that. That's what I think I read. But the guy could raped a child, and they said, you should go easy on him. The Islamic Center wrote a letter saying this is a cultural difference. You can read. I'll put a link to it here, but. It was basically go light on this guy because, this is a cultural thing.
Right.
And I can't believe that they would do that. I can't believe they would actually do something like that. And anybody would be able to take that seriously. That's just disgusting.
Right. We should convict him and lock away the key. Just throw him away forever. It's a horrible human being to attack a kid, straight out. So
that should be the best case scenario.
Yeah.
There's a lot of worse punishments I would be willing to go for this guy. A convicted child rapist, and I'm talking about a young child too. That's just you basically killed that child.
Pretty much, yep.
Another one I saw, and I'm going to post, I'll show this screen. And this is pretty sad. The sister of a veteran killed in Minneapolis speaks out as suspect remains at large. So he was beaten to death in Minneapolis in 2024. There's videos of him, but I don't know. I think this is the person that did the beating. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But she feels, it's frustrating because we know absolutely no more today than we knew a year ago. But she feels like there's nothing being done. And that's horrible. Now, they can only do so much, obviously. The police can only do so much. But she feels like nobody's doing anything. And that could just be a sister talking. But I didn't even hear about that story. Did you?
No, I didn't really hear about it until I seen the interview with the lady about it. She was explaining how nothing doesn't seem to be getting done. And, coming out of that area, I can understand why, because doesn't fit the agenda. So,
yeah. I'm surprised that he was even reported.
Right.
I'm going to skip one. I'm going to come back to it. Repeat offender who fatally shot man in Twin Cities home gets prison this time. So this is one you joined in, I think.
Yeah. So this guy has been harassing ex-wife, ex-girlfriend or something. He had an order to no contact order. He had weapons offense, domestic assault, forgery, illicit drugs, theft, burglary, disorderly conduct. He was already on parole, so that's why he couldn't have a weapons anymore. And then he went back and killed the person that he had the original dispute with. And Mary Moriarty, her office reduced the second degree murder charges down to a went down to a manslaughter, second degree manslaughter. That's what it was. and he pled guilty to that. So they gave him 7 years, and he already spent 2 years in jail. So he'll be out in 5 years.
For killing
Even less than that with for murder and all these other things, and he'll be out in 5 years.
Wow.
Probably less based on how stupid Mary Moriarty is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane.
And that's why I thought putting those two next to each other was significant, because now we're going to, we just talked about another thing in her district.
Right.
That should have never happened. And
It
even
feels like there's nothing being done. Even if they catch the guy, what are they going to do? Are they even going to prosecute him? And if they do, how many years is he going to get? You get 7 years for killing a person? That's insane.
Yeah, and she gave 2 other guys 2 years for murdering someone.
It's going to be really.
They were 17, so they were considered teenagers, but still, if you don't shut it down now, it's going to continue to happen. And this is a perfect example of that.
Right.
He should have been locked up for way too long, but no, she keeps excusing it. And so now Minneapolis is going to be 1,000 times worse because of all the people. And I think we even discussed this last week about the carjackings that she doesn't prosecute.
Well, let's get on to the good news then.
Yes.
Do you want to say it or you want me to do it?
No, it's all yours. I'm trying to figure this out here. So
Mary Moriarty, Hennepin County attorney, Bloody Mary as they call her, won't be seeking a second term. God, if I had a little applause, like,
yeah,
little things popping up in the air. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when she's gone. If they can get an actual person that will hold the law in that city, man, things will change rapidly. So, you ever heard the term getting out of town before the posse shows? I think that's maybe what happened with Mary here. She can smell what's coming.
Right. And one of her comments was, she believes voters will elect a successor who shares her progressive vision.
Uh-huh.
Which, your vision is letting people off for violent crimes? I don't get that vision. That.
Well, she believes voters will elect a successor who shares her progressive vision. Indeed. Rep. Cedric Frazier, a labor lawyer and former public defender, announced he was considering running to replace Moriarty. I don't know anything about him, but they seem to be implying that he'll be just like her. And good luck, Minneapolis. Good luck with the guy who may win the mayor's office, and good luck with who could be worse than her. God forbid.
Yeah, so between her being gone and getting someone just as horrible in there, and then that socialist mayor, if he wins, we can we need to just draw a map around the Twin Cities and make that their own state, and everybody else leave it until it burns to the ground, basically. So,
man. All right. Department of Human Services announced on Friday, August 1st, that it will seek to terminate the state's Housing Stabilization Program amid FBI fraud investigations. Again, another great Walz, corruption. This place has been rocked with corruption, and I was trying to scan through this to just see how much it was. But yeah, the FBI is involved now, so I think they're trying to close this thing down quick so that maybe the FBI will go away. If it doesn't exist anymore, you guys don't need to investigate, right? It said it hopes to redesign and relaunch it. So basically it's, in my defense, I never thought we were going to get caught. So we'll fix it a little bit, and then, we'll come back in and you guys won't be able to catch us next time.
And that new mayor that was just endorsed by the DSA, DFL, he was big into endorsing the defrauding our children thing.
That's a good name, defrauding our children.
and this one. He's very attached to the fraud in Minnesota. So I have this weird feeling that they might investigate him and his association to all this fraud going in there to see if he's helping them.
Like it or not, the Somalis here were doing the fraud for Feeding Our Future. They were in charge of a lot of it. I don't know why they got so much power and how much they got so much authority, but they got the money. The guy who's running for mayor is a Somali guy, and they're sticking together like a clan here. And they want to take over the city. And when that happens, you're going to see a lot of city officials being hired that are Somalians, and they're going to turn it into a little Somalia here. They actually refer to it as Somalia as their home, and here's where they live.
Correct.
So good luck. And the thing I fear the most is Duluth tries to be like Minneapolis quite a bit. It hasn't been so bad lately. For a while there, it was like anything Minneapolis did. Boy, Duluth's going to do the same thing. I haven't seen it here, but my God, good luck.
Right.
One last thing in Minnesota news is, two more things. The first thing is Minnesota Power announced a plan for a 200 megawatt wind farm in central North Dakota. Now, Trump just put the axe on another wind farm somewhere else. Not this one, but this is in North Dakota. It'd be interesting to see if this one goes through, because from what I heard, he said no more wind farms. So I did because this is a public service program and I'd like to educate people. I said, I went to ChatGPT and I said, what are the problems with wind farms? Because I already knew some of them, but I wanted to find out what is listed in the ChatGPT. Number one, intermittency and reliability. Wind energy generation is inherently variable and cannot be produced on demand. So it requires backup power sources or energy storage to ensure grid stability. So when you're talking about backup power sources, you're talking about gas and electric, or you're talking about batteries to back up the power that it generates.
Right.
Those batteries are made of very toxic substances that have to be mined in different countries, because we haven't done the mining here. Hopefully we'll do that. And if you're I don't know if we're going to talk about all this, so I'll go through these and we'll talk about the cost of actually putting a wind farm in place. Second thing, environmental impact on wildlife. Turbines pose a risk to flying animals, with estimates suggesting hundreds of thousands of birds and bat fatalities annually in North America. The construction of wind farms can also disrupt local ecosystems and habitats. So we're talking about not just bats and we're talking about bald eagles and falcons and hunting animals and endangered species. Third, noise and visual pollution. The operation of a turbine produces low-level noise and flickering shadow effects, which may disturb nearby communities and are considered an aesthetic issue by many. Yeah, I can believe that. High cost and infrastructure challenges. So the upfront cost of installing wind turbines has increased significantly, driven by rising raw material prices. Offshore wind farms, which we're not going to talk about here, but that's just difficulty in doing this in deep water. Land use and climate impact. Large-scale wind farms require substantial land areas, potentially up to 100 times more than previously estimated, and can cause localized warming of surface temperatures due to atmospheric mixing. Although this effect is temporary compared to long-term benefits of reduced emissions. They had to shove in a little bit of, okay, but it's still good, right?
Yeah.
And life cycle management, end-of-life disposal of turbines, particularly their large composite blades, poses a significant recycling challenge, with infrastructure for recycling still under development. What this means is they take those big, massive blades, which if you come down here to Superior Street, you can actually see one outside the Minnesota Power Building. They bury them. They bury them. That's how they get rid of them. So those things only have a certain amount of life, and then they go, take them down, bury them in the ground.
And they're also, you have to remember that they're all gear driven. Therefore, you need oil production to grease the turbines.
Right.
So regardless if you build a windmill or not, you still need oil Otherwise, those things will lock right up.
Right. Well, there's thousands of pounds of concrete that goes into it. That means mixing, creating it, transporting it, pouring it. The stages they have to go through, I saw it was massive because these towers are huge and they're heavy and they're pushing back and forth. So the amount of concrete is just massive. Then you got to transport these blades here, and that's usually by train and then by truck to get them out to the site. You cut down all these trees most of the time to get this flat area, and you got this big farm that's just killing birds. It's never going to produce enough energy to justify it, but it makes people feel good about themselves.
Yeah, and they already showed farms down in Texas where they tried it, and instead of burying the blades that wear out, they just stacked them, and they're 30 miles long of piles of these blades because the way they're made, you can't recycle them yet.
Right.
I was in the recycling business for 10 years, and so I know, and everybody knows, you can't recycle them.
Right. That's why they're burying them or stacking them.
It's just stacking them on the big pile.
So the problem is that people hear this and they think, well, why do this is clean energy. Why are you against it? I'm not against it. I'm against it only in the fact that it's not viable. If you came up and said, we can create these turbines out of wood and, they'll last for 50 years and they're practically cheap. Sure, let's do it. I mean, we'll have to figure out something about the birds. They can't keep killing all the birds in the area, but it's not that I don't like the concept. I don't like the practice of it. It's not viable. It's not something that actually works. Get it to work. I'll support it. I understand the concept of it. Sounds great.
Yeah.
There's days there's no wind. So there's that. But like you said, there's oil involved with the roads that were built to get the blades in place, the vehicles that had to transport it, the oil that has to go to grease the wheels, the gears. Just the basic construction of them involves oil. The tires on the vehicles that had to take it there is oil. You just can't get away from it.
Right. The concrete that for the base has oil in it.
Right. So I don't know.
You can't. And the best thing is you take a turbine like that, and it can't produce enough energy to melt steel to make another turbine.
Sure. So you got to build. Yeah, you need that.
So you still need that to you still need coal-fired plants or natural gas plants so you can make more turbines, because you can't make a turbine with a turbine. So the whole thing makes zero sense. So
yeah. All right. And last news item. Metropolitan Council has confirmed that its plan is to transition the rail service of the North Star Commuter Light Rail to a bus service. So speaking of wasted construction costs and wasted money, and again, great concept, having a train that goes up north, take the traffic off the roads, you get to sit down, enjoy it if you're commuting to downtown Minneapolis. But in practice, it's not ready yet. Get it ready, then do it.
Well, they've been running it, and it's been a complete failure. And this is the first time I've seen a government agency admit something failed and put it to rest.
It's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
And the Met Council, no less.
Right.
My God, the world gone topsy-turvy. All right. We're at the 44-minute mark, and we're hitting national news now. So thanks for everybody who's stuck with us so far. We're getting through the news stories you may not have heard about it. And the first one is the Department of Justice just announced a nationwide investigation into voter polls, including California and Minnesota. So I would like to believe that there's no voter fraud in Minnesota. But you know what? I think there might be. And I've thought this since Al Franken was elected. And they got found a mysterious box of votes that got him over the edge in somebody's trunk of their car way back a long time ago. So I encourage the Department of Justice to come in and start looking at it. If they don't find anything, fantastic. We'll see. Everybody should be encouraging this. Who wouldn't want an investigation? It's an audit, if nothing else. Let's just make sure everything looks good. Maybe you're missing something. Maybe it's not intentional fraud. Maybe it's something that could be done better. I don't know. So,
well, there's been too many people questioning the last few elections. So,
yeah,
audit it. Yeah. And anyone that's against auditing is obviously hiding something, because you should be welcoming it.
Right.
Hey, maybe we did screw up. I don't know. Let's see if we can find any holes in the situation. We're trying to be, more legitimate, and they're making sure that it can't be, basically. So,
right. Here's the thing. If I go to my bank and I say, I'm a little shaky about your online banking security, you will get tons of information on how it's secure. Here's the encryption we use. Here's the protocols we use. Here's the, two-factor authentication. We'll go through all of that stuff. You go to the state and say, I'm a little shaky about the security of our elections. Well, then you shouldn't be. And that's basically all they say.
right.
You don't get any, if they could come back and say, here's how we're, and would say, here's how we're securing the elections, but it was a reasonable thing, which is, we're IDing the people coming to vote. We're checking that they're actually residents of the state, doing some of the background. And then, we have the whole, when you cast a vote, you could go and give it an encrypted code and go and take a look and make sure that that vote matches what you voted, as opposed to, hey, I just voted into a machine. That vote could change. I've done software development for 30 years. I know that it's easy to make software that can just do something else. You can't, and it's not an open source system either. Our encryption is open source, but voting machines are not. Explain that to me. The beauty of open source software is you've got so many eyes on it. It's very hard to screw over the system because there's so many people looking at it to make sure it can't happen. But we don't have an open source voting system. We have a closed source voting system with a company that seems to have a very distinct pattern of who they'd like to support. So that makes people not feel good about it. And I would understand if people saw that, Rupert Murdoch or some conservative had a voting system that was being used and they were losing elections. I can see the concern. So audit it.
Right.
Donald Trump has told the Department of Commerce to redo the census and remove illegal aliens from it. This is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be
in the first place.
They shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be counted. The Biden administration really wanted them. The Democrats love them because then they can count them and get their extra districts because they go to the big cities. The big cities get the extra voters, so they get extra votes. And, so I understand the illegitimate reason they want this, but it'll be great to remove them and see how many people we actually have in this country legitimately. And then have power based on that too. I think California could lose many seats because of this. Mike Johnson is in the news. He is actively preventing recess appointments by Donald Trump by holding, what is it called? These pro forma sessions. So it's empty, but they're reconvening every couple of days to prevent Donald Trump from doing recess appointments. Why are the Republicans actively stopping him from doing this?
Right.
Mike Johnson, the more I see about this guy, the less I trust this guy. He seems like he is an Israeli asset of more than anything. And this kind of stuff, man, Trump endorsed him. I don't know why. Maybe he was the best thing possible, but I don't know. There's something wrong with this guy.
Yeah, Trump is just trying to get things back on track and get things going.
Yeah.
And so why isn't a Republican stopping him?
Yes. I could understand why the Democrats would do this. Sure, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous.
So last week we talked about the woman that got beaten to a pulp in Cincinnati. And she has come out and said something. So I'm going to share what she had to say.
So I just want to say that I don't want to relive what happened to me, 8 or 9 days ago. I'm here to talk about the future and how we can change it, how we can prevent this from happening to anybody else. These heinous crimes have to stop. I never want this to happen to anyone else, especially a mother, a daughter, somebody who is loved. So I just know what it's done to my family, not just to me. And I think that moving forward, we do need more accountability. And I definitely think that, we need more police officers, but like he said, the judges who are just letting people out with a slap. The man who attacked me and might have permanently damaged me forever should never have been on the streets, ever. And the fact that he had just gotten out of jail previously for something he should have been in there for years. It's really sad to me because I can't even fathom how many other people who have been attacked by the same type of man over and over and over in Toledo, in Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton. Our streets are being taken over and nobody is doing anything. I am so sad. And I need to be the voice to help all of the victims that never got their justice. So I just want to say that.
Yeah. It's pretty tough to watch that video of her getting cold clocked by a guy.
Yeah.
And then seeing the other people there start to just take her jewelry. And the guy, like she said, it's the judges. It's not the cops necessarily. The cops aren't there, or they're understaffed, or at some point they can't even get involved. There was a fight here, and one of the cops was telling me, until something happens, we can't get involved because they could get easily overwhelmed. If there's 2-3 cops and there's 50 people, right, and they decide to get in that and it gets out of hand, they've got weapons they could be taken off of them. They could get beaten. So I don't blame the cops. I understand that's a tough job, but it's these judges. This guy who did this shouldn't have been out on the streets to begin with. He should have been in jail. It's the Mary Moriartys. It's the judges here that let these guys go. There's got to be a thought back to, hey, prison is a reason. We have prisons for a reason. That's to punish these people. It's not for necessarily rehabilitation. We can try to rehabilitate them, but it's punishment first. It's keeping people safe. So I'm glad she came on and talked.
Yeah, she sounds like she could easily be from Minneapolis because they're doing exactly the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
No responsibility for their actions. So
we'll move on. And I wanted to talk about real inflation. So how you've been hearing inflation rates, and you heard this over the Biden administration. It was about 9-10% inflation they were talking about.
Yeah. It equaled like 40 some over the 4 years or something like that. So.
Oh yeah, that was year to year. And people
year
don't really think about it, but that's building up. So this woman, Jennifer Harper, said, my husband and I were talking last night about how a 12-pack of drinks is now $9. And in 2020, you used to pay 4 for $10. Decided to go back to her Walmart app and go and buy the same exact items. So 30 items in 2020, paid $70 for them. Did the same 30 items now, $165. That's 135% increase in prices. Now, it's not necessarily fair to be talking about this because we don't know what those items are, or but she's talking about doing these same exact items, and that's what people are feeling, and that's what people were poo-pooing during the election. It's like, what are you talking about the price of eggs for? It's no big deal. This is the price of eggs kind of thing. People are feeling this. Right. They're not making 134% more money than they were 4 years ago, but they sure are paying for it. And that's just not just food. That's their, if you're renting, your rent's gone up. Your property taxes are going up. Your state taxes are going up. And everything you need to live is going up. Your energy is going up. My electric bill doubled in the last month, maybe because I had air conditioning on, but still. The beauty is that I have records back to 1995. So I can do all this investigation to see what I've been paying through, and I can do a real estimate, but I'm not making 135% more than I was making 4 years ago. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't think politicians understands that. They see it as, oh, well, we need more money, so we need to raise more money. The families are cutting back, but the government just keeps raising it up.
Right.
How come the government isn't trying to find ways to spend less?
Well, or also that's the whole thing about having manufacturing and tariffs. That kind of stuff helps us out. Having a manufacturing plant coming here, our goods get
Right.
cheaper. It's cheaper to get to market because it's right here. It costs less because it's, it doesn't have to be transported so far. We've got taxes from the thing coming in. There's just no limit to how good it can be to have manufacturing. You got to make sure it's not polluting the environment, obviously, but you got to do that with just about every business. And we've got such
Right.
clean filtration now that you can do that. We got to get the cost down for people. And I know once they go up, it's pretty tough to get them down. And what happens is this inflation is just more money for the government, less for us.
Right.
All right. One more thing about Trump. And this is kind of Trump adjacent. JP Morgan and Bank of America debanked Trump after pressure from the Biden administration. So the Biden administration pressured them to debank them. If we want to have a talk about weaponization of government, which the Democrats have been talking about the Trump administration doing fascism, start talking about all the stuff that has happened in the last, and this wasn't just Biden, this was the Obama administration too. Remember when they went after the Tea Party people?
Oh, right. Yep.
They sent the IRS after them, they debanked them, and we could see that happening last year where people's bank accounts were just getting shut down by the banks. That's the government going after people. That's fascism right there.
Yep. Right.
All right. Let's take a little left-hand turn and go to something a little more fun. Howard Stern's contract looks like it's not going to get renewed at Cirrus. He's going to be off the air. So I had a philosophical thought experiment, Dave. You ready for it?
Yep.
You know the question about if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody ever hear it? Or does it make a sound, I should say?
Right.
If a show is on the air but nobody watches it, was it ever really broadcast?
True. Very true.
Deep thoughts there. Howard Stern used to be massive. And if you're not old enough to remember, when he was on terrestrial radio, he went into New York and went into different markets, and he was huge. And I tried to bring him into Minneapolis and fight against Tom Bernard in the morning show. That was a bridge too far for him, and he failed at that pretty badly. But he was a big talk show radio. Then he had a show on E at the same time he had this radio show. So he was everywhere. And then he had a movie out, right? And he dubbed himself the king of all entertainment, I believe. Because when Michael Jackson dubbed himself the king of pop, Stern said, well, if we can just dub ourselves anyway, I'm the king of all entertainment. I mean, just like we're the king of YouTube.
Yeah.
But then he went to Cirrus, and you don't hear about him at all, ever. So apparently his contract was for $100 million.
Yeah.
So, he looks like, when you take that blonde or that curly wig off him, he looks like Larry David. Maybe it's time to just retire, take the wig off, go in and, nobody's going to recognize him at that point. He's like in his 70s now, I think, right?
Yeah. Late 60s, early 70s.
Just retire, man.
Yeah. Because he went from 2.5 million listeners to 136,000 listeners. So
how many? What was that?
According to what I read, 2.5 million got him onto Sirius Radio, and then now he's down to 136,000.
Oh my God!
So
a 90% drop.
Yeah, he was basically demanding more money, even though no one was listening to him. Basically, nobody was listening to him. I mean, even CNN has more viewers than that, and they're almost.
There's no reason to be insulting here. I mean, we got to be nice a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, him and the ultimate shock jock, him and Neil Young were both exposed as complete frauds from COVID, because
Yeah.
both Stern and Neil Young, they wanted to put everyone in jail who didn't get the COVID shot, and he called anyone that voted for Trump stupid. So he was the ultimate. Both of them were ultimate against the government their whole time. That's what they built their career on.
Yeah.
And then COVID comes out, and both of them are do what the government says.
Well, my favorite was Rage Against the Machine. Do you remember that band?
Yep.
F you, I won't do what you tell me. That was one of their songs. And they came out and they were like pushing the COVID vaccination. They wouldn't let people come to their concerts without it.
Right.
They were they were exposed as complete frauds. That was Rage Against the Machine. Offspring, a punk band. They fired their drummer because he wouldn't take the COVID shot. Spin Doctors fired their bassist because he wouldn't take the COVID shot. But that's Spin Doctors. I mean, kind of goes with them,
Yeah. So Mr. Howard Stern, the king of hate government and be completely against the government, exposed himself. So he's a fraud. So now this is just the next step in basically finding out what of a fraud he is. You have no viewers. You still think you're worth a ton of money. You're not. Reality.
Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting though? Colbert, Stern. I hear Saturday Night Live is on the bubble. They're losing $100 million a year.
Yeah.
The View is on hiatus.
Yeah.
There's been other people. It's almost like when USAID stopped paying the money out, then the networks were like, well, we're not losing money on it. So were they getting paid under the table to keep these Democrat propagandists in place? Because that's all they are. They're huge Democrat propagandists. Maybe it's USAID, maybe it's not, but it sure is coincidental. And that's, if you look at the picture I have for the place card for this, it's Trump walking through each door, and it's just like he's the Grim Reaper just taking care of these places. So I think the View is next.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder,
right?
Is this coincidental? You might be a conspiracy theory right now, but maybe in 10 years we'll find out, yeah, that actually happened because they were paying to keep these people on the air to destroy society, mentally challenge the society into being stupider. I don't know.
Right. Let's see. I'm going to skip your next article you put on. Unfortunately. Sorry.
That was a quick one, but
yeah. And I'm going to talk about, so if you're saying that we don't talk about Republicans being slime balls, let me put your mind at ease. I'm going to talk about one right now. Miss United States files a restraining order against GOP Rep. Corey Mills. Now, I will have to say, first of all, Corey, that is a beard. I mean, that is pretty impressive here. But if you read the article that I'm going to put on here, it doesn't sound very good. So he was threatening to release intimate photos of her, calls her all the time, was threatening the people she may be with. Kind of classic, creepy, obsessive guy kind of stuff. Nice. So, yeah, if he's going to jail for that, she's got a restraining order against him right now, but there should be some action, and maybe he'll do the right thing and just resign from office, because probably what he should do. He should not be representing the people of his state.
His beard kind of looks like the guy from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the live action, where it's the concrete.
Cornelius Jones, I think his name was.
Yeah, the guy who doing panning for gold up in Alaska.
Yeah, and his spike would stick in the ice, and then he'd lick it to find out if there's gold in the ice. I mean, a stupider person you couldn't find.
That's who it reminds me of. So
I'm surprised my wife hasn't texted me with his real name yet. But, well, it'll be coming, I'm sure. So I got another one. So we only got about 3 more things here for national news, but Rivian. So they're a place that has gotten a substantial government subsidy. And they are, and they loaned, the Biden administration loaned $6.6 billion to this electric vehicle maker. And they are losing $41,000 for every car they sell. So I think that is going away now, but talk about your grift.
Right.
And the DC Drano, I'll put a link out here to what he had to say, but it was basically, he called it the Green New Steel. All of these environmental things. And again, I'm not against having a good environment, but many of these programs are set up just so they can grift money off you, to get more government programs in place, to get more taxation in place, and to make you buy things that you have previously bought in a different way so that you have to buy something again. And it's just basically bankrupting this country because of this green stuff. If it's viable, we'll buy it. Like we were talking about the battery powered power tools. I love them. And they're nice and they're mobile. You don't have to have either a gas, they're just heavy, or you don't have an electric line. And some of them are like, I have a small little chainsaw for little brush things. It's great. I take out the big boy when I have to take a tree down, but for brush, that thing is perfect. You can one arm it, if you have to. You shouldn't, but you can. Screwdrivers, that stuff is good, but the batteries are bad. They're not good. You can't just recycle those batteries.
Yeah, but also your power tools, they convinced you through capitalism, not the strong arm of the government saying this is what you have to do.
Right.
They built a better product, therefore they win. As simple as that.
Right.
And that's the way America is. The better product wins.
Right. It beats it out. That's real capitalism, not this corporate capitalism that people actually can get upset about. That's real capitalism.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. That's good. Let's see. I'm going to talk about this man who is I think 19 years old. He worked for Doge. His name's Ed. He has a handle of Big Balls. And he was in a fight with 8 other guys. So these guys were coming after a girl. He put her in the car, made her lock the door, and fought him off. You can see him here. He's all bloodied. He's like 19 years old. That kid has got a lot of brains, a lot of guts.
Yeah.
And hats off to him for sticking up for somebody. Good for him. It really is. This is a guy that people should be watching. I think this is what America is all about. He's a classic American hero. And these are the kind of people that we need more of. So good God, good job.
Yeah, definitely. But then, then there's another state. We go back to the same thing. They're attacking the GOPs. The judges aren't putting them in jail.
Yes.
There's no repercussion for their action, and basically because this guy didn't die, nothing's going to happen to him this time either. So,
we didn't talk about this though, but Donald Trump has said if DC can't get control of their city, he's going to federalize it, and he's going to take it over, because the thing is, DC should be the safest, most beautiful place you go because it's the capital of this country. Yeah. And from what I hear, it's a pretty rough place to go. Like you got to be really putting your head on a swivel and make sure that you're okay. There's a lot of crime, a lot of drugs. And I think another thing Trump is doing is putting that ballroom in place. He's beautifying. He's putting his mark on the White House. What a fantastic idea. He put the big, massive flags out there, the United States flags. So if you see those now, they're huge and it just looks great. He's putting a ballroom in place, $200 million of private funding he's putting in place to put a ballroom in because they need it. And that thing is going to be there, hopefully, hundreds of years. They'll be able to look back at it. They construct it right. And it's the Trump ballroom. And it's all privately funded. But of course, Chuck Schumer came out and he was like, well, where'd this money come from? And obviously Doge was not about saving money because $200 million for these billionaires. They literally said when they announced it that was private funding, and Trump may do the whole thing. I think he's got other investors, but not investors, just donors, right?
Donors, yeah.
But he's willing to do it, and he's up on the roof taking a look, and he's got the press shouting questions at him. And he said, just looking at better ways to spend more of my money for this place. I just love having him in office.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd figure that the mainstream media would be saying, "Oh, Trump was on the roof; he was going to jump."
Right? Yeah. Well, and the funny thing too about that $200 million somebody is never happy about anything. I heard this woman going after she figured out it was actually funded by donors and Trump himself. Well, where could that $200 million have gone otherwise to help other people? Why are you wasting it? My grandpa used to say this about my grandma. Nothing is good. He would just say that. She'd be complaining. Nothing is good. Nothing is good. Let's just wrap up a couple of things about the Russian hoax, the manipulated and manufactured by the Hillary Clinton campaign and then pushed forward by the Obama administration and the Biden administration afterwards. I hope everybody who's watching this, if you're a Democrat, if you don't realize this, go look it up. This derailed a lot of Donald Trump's first 4 years as president. They were actually going after people. This ruined people's lives. So this is a pretty big deal, and they're deposing a bunch of the people that were involved with it now. And then Kash Patel found a bunch of burn bags with thousands of documents. So the FBI apparently has these bags that are burn bags. They're supposed to be getting rid of these documents. Somebody messed up. I mean, they're still there. How did that happen? But they found these documents. So, hey, nobody's above the law, right, Dave?
I guess we'll find out.
We'll have to go through our tiers of justice here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then Robert Mueller, who was involved with this, so they subpoenaed him. Where'd they find him? In a memory care facility. So do you remember when he was doing his Mueller report? I mean, he's gonna finally, this is it. We're gonna get Trump. And he came out and people were like, is he okay? And I don't know if his room's right next to Biden's, but
yeah,
the boys could share a room maybe.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for that. International news. I'm just going to touch on this, that the UK has a scholarship that they announced, and there's only one group that doesn't get to qualify for it. And take a guess who that is, Dave.
That would be us white supremacists.
That's right. You have to be from one of the following: Black, Asian, mixed heritage, or other ethnic minority backgrounds. So,
well, I'm mixed, so that would be okay for me.
It's so let me share this because I think it's amusing. Is this it? No, this is it. So it does say, if you read this close enough, it does include white. So here's the highlighting here. But it says white other. For example, Romani Gypsy, Scottish travelers, or Irish travelers. And this is the intelligence services. So, hey, no need for whites to apply. It's UK is, oof.
They're on the road out.
They are really trying hard to go down.
Yeah, they're gonna look pretty soon. They're gonna look like Detroit, and because anyone with money is gonna leave. It's gonna turn into a refugee center, and then there's gonna be no one to, like Margaret Thatcher said. Eventually, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. Well, they're gonna run out of other people's money.
Right.
And so that'll be gone. So
that is correct.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. We're flying through 1:15. I thought we were going to get through this in less than an hour. We're not. Well, let's go to health and fitness. So first of all, let's talk about our week. How did you do?
I hit the gym enough. My weights training was okay. I needed to do a little bit more on the cardio side. I ended up having some truck problems, so I spent most of my cardio time doing truck repair. So other than that, not too bad. Yourself?
A couple. I think I went to hit the weights twice. I can't confirm that. I know I went at least once. I'd be running a lot more if it wasn't for this smoke that came down from Canada. So today is the first day it's kind of cleared out. I ran yesterday. After the show, I might go for a jaunt too, because it'd still be light out while I go. Nice and warm. This is the weather I like. 86 plus is when I like to run outside with the sunshine though. Let's see. So I'm going to go through a couple things. I actually have a few things to go through in this section, but I wanted to talk about this Dr. Mary Bowden. This is a doctor who was speaking out about the COVID shots, and she was actually, they went after her. They went after her to try to get her license revoked and suspended because she had talked about it. So she offered 8 things about the COVID vaccination, and this is misinformation that she had. Number 1, hospitals were using morphine to kill without pain. She said she reviewed patient charts showing people with 0 pain being given lethal doses of morphine and insulin. Insulin. What a horrible way to die.
Yeah.
The ivermectin smear campaign was planned. The FDA called it a horse dewormer on the same day they launched a $11.5 billion COVID media fund. Ivermectin won a Nobel Prize. It's on the WHO's essential medicines list. Now remember, this is a medical doctor. Dr.
Right.
Mary Bowden. She's not like a doctor of education like Jill Biden. Monoclonal antibodies work too well. They save lives fast. Some patients recovered within 24 hours. So what happened? The government seized control of supply and restricted access. Not because they didn't work, but because they did. Breathing treatments were banned. I'm not going to try to say this, but I'll put it in the link. They help people. This medicine helped people breathe safely and effectively. Hospital banned it, claiming it would spread the virus. Dr. Bowden resorted to treating patients in their cars. That's how dedicated she was to the patient, which is what doctors are supposed to be dedicated to, not the hospitals, not the insurance companies. Medical boards became weapons. Doctors who challenged the narrative were hunted down. Dr. Bowden is still fighting the Texas Medical Board 3 years later for prescribing ivermectin. And I think she just got acquitted of all that. I think she's now back in good graces. Vaccine injuries are real and ignored. Dr. Bowden sees 6+ new vaccination injured patients every week. Many have 10 times higher antibody levels than the unvaccinated 4 years later. 98% of injury compensation claims are denied. Oof. It's not only bad for your health, it's bad for your pocketbook.
Right.
Canada offered death, not care. Over 15,000 people died from assisted suicide in Canada last year. Many were vaccine injured and abandoned by the system. And number 8, 500+ new mRNA shots are coming. 33% are self-amplifying, designed to replicate inside your body. There's no off switch, no way to stop them once injected, and some are already approved in Japan and India. Which I'm surprised India is doing, because I thought they shut down the COVID vaccination pretty quickly.
Yeah, I thought so too.
So yeah, I wanted to just talk about what this doctor had to say. So if you're talking about, it's one thing if I'm telling you this, I don't have any medical background. I can't even pronounce, 90% of the words that they use. There's some kind of mental block in my head about it. But this is an actual doctor, and she's pretty good. And she's been fighting the fight for 5 years now because of this. All right, let's go on. I want to show you a video. Remember last week I showed you a video of Bill Gates, and I asked the question, is it a homeless man and a crazy homeless man at a bus stop, or is it Bill Gates?
Yeah.
I can't remember if you actually got it right or not.
Well, he had jazz hands at the time, so I wasn't sure which he was what he was
Yeah.
actually doing the whole time.
Looked like a coke fiend. All right, so we got this one here. So you ready? Here we go.
Is very blessed, whether it's wind or solar. It's quite phenomenal. And your land area per person, compared to say Singapore is pretty good. And so the opportunities created by a world that is getting rid of greenhouse gas emissions, Australia is rare in that the opportunities exceed the things you have to give up. You have to give up a large part of and eventually almost all of the coal mining activity. What happens with beef, my climate group, Breakthrough Energy, just announced literally today an investment in an Australian group called Ruminate that helps cows not be so much a source of methane
Meaning he kills them.
Right.
emissions. So we have.
You know what? When Bill Gates comes and says he's investing in a company near you, you should either think about moving or talking to the government to shut it down. This is the same guy that had wanted to have vaccinations supplied by mosquitoes and has released mosquitoes in controlled ways in different areas for medical purposes.
Right.
Two paths to solving that. That's 6% of global emissions are cows who burp and fart methane to an extreme degree. You can either.
I did see a farmer say that cows can't fart. They're physically unable to. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll just tell you what I heard.
Fix the cows to stop them doing that, or you can make beef without the cow. And both of those, will be pursued to see which one can lead to the best product in terms of taste, health, and cost.
I wonder how many cows qualify to offset his private jet that he flew to go down there to talk about this, or the luxurious houses he has, whose carbon footprint is probably more than the city of Duluth. This guy was in a technical field. He got lucky with some things. He worked really hard. He's literally, I will say this with quotes, but they took a lot of advantage of a lot of companies. Like that original MS-DOS, that was, lifted off somebody else. They bought stuff really cheap. They took over companies. He's a technical guy. He has no business being in medicine. You shouldn't listen to this guy. Listen to that doctor I talked about 5 minutes ago, not this guy. This guy is a nightmare. And he thinks the world's overpopulated, and the way to get rid of it, to fix that, is to depopulate it. And that's not just, reducing birth rates. That's killing people, I believe.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely one of the believers of the world is overpopulated. So.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to talk about this. SNAP is no longer allowing junk food
in certain states.
So I read that it was something being done at the federal level too, but I also read that it's per state. So I don't know which one is right.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because I have a feeling the federal subsidies for SNAP will be reduced if they allow it. So if you're in a state like Minnesota who's going to allow junk food, then the state gets less reimbursement from federal government, is the way I understood it.
So this is the article I'm referring to, and it says RFK Jr. and Ma end the decades-long candy and soda gravy train. So, and this has been his thing the whole time. And really, if you're on subsidies, that's a luxury. That's something that you shouldn't be using, government funds to pay for.
Right.
Now it's kind of a squishy thing because they don't use government funds to pay for that. They use it for other stuff, and then they get other money and they'll use it to pay for that. But we should be, if we're giving somebody a helping hand, it should be for healthy foods and staples, and let you build, get the ingredients, make it yourself. Right. If you have extra money.
Yep.
You said something to me probably 30 years ago, and it was like, well, I always got money for beer and cigarettes. I mean, it's that kind of thing, you know. Don't have enough to pay the rent, don't have enough to pay child support. Oh, I got beer money, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, I got gambling money.
Exactly. And then I got two more things. I'm gonna show you a picture. I'm not going to comment. I'm going to show you a picture of Canada's public health agency, the new president of Canada's public health agency. Giving without comment, just sharing this picture and saying, I will comment on this. Maybe not the healthiest person I've ever seen in my life.
No.
But hey, Canada, you do you. And we will end on a fun note. And I'm going to show you this. So let me get it up on the screen and then we'll talk about it. Sorry, at the end of the show, I have not queued up everything, so it takes a little bit to get this stuff. There is a machine in Romania. And the machine's use is to, if you do squats in front of this machine, let me just share this. I swear to God, I'm going to do it. You get a free train ticket or bus ticket, but you have to do squats in front of this machine. So this machine is watching you go. And then if you do a number of squats, hey, get a free bus ticket. I think that's a pretty good idea. What do you think?
It's some motivation, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, sure, there's people that would complain about it, saying that, you know, it's not everybody can do squats and everything like that, but still, I think it's a good way to try to get people to be a little more fit, which everybody could be a little more fit. More physically fit you are, better you are mentally, obviously physically. You feel better, you have better mood, all good things. All right, Dave. That's it for this show. We're on less than a 1:30. We did pretty good today.
Yeah, considering how many pages we had of information, not too bad.
Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think we've covered everything.
All right.
This week.
Next week we'll probably be on Tuesday Night Live, and then we'll put the show out on Thursday. I have stuff going on Thursday, end of the next week, so we'll try to do a live show on Thursday or Tuesday, and we may. And let us know if you're watching the show, if you like this idea, do this on Tuesdays instead of Thursday nights about the same time. So give us some feedback. We may be trying that out soon, but if you've still gone this far, we appreciate you watching. If you don't agree with stuff we're saying, please leave us a comment. If you agree with it, comment too. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. And once again, another week done. I'm Sean.
I'm Dave.
Give you the shaka and say, have a good night.